Thanks for joining us here on the CBN News Channel. I'm Ephraim Graham. While weather caused mayhem across much of the U.S. this weekend, in the South, deadly flash flooding and dangerous winds from Texas to Tennessee. And in the Midwest, still no relief from those heavy rains and record flooding. Flash flooding is the #1 storm-related killer in America, and authorities across the South were out en masse this weekend, looking to prevent casualties as heavy rain turned roads from Houston to Tennessee into rivers.
I thought we was just going to be able to go through it and then, proceed on. But then when we got to here, up under here, I started seeing the water getting high and it didn't go down.
A half foot of rain in only 2 hours caused massive flooding in Houston. Firefighters making 150 rescues during that short time. And it wasn't just rain causing Houston residents to seek cover.
All of a sudden, hail started hitting the car really hard, started pouring, couldn't see anything, we were driving real slow.
Golf ball-sized hail can be seen in this video, covering cars and floating by in the floodwaters. The storm system also worked its way across Tennessee. Some residents chose to evacuate as they saw floodwaters rising higher. Others were forced to as authorities patrolled flood-prone areas.
Our teams are out now assessing roadways, ditches, creek areas, and making contact with residents at their home.
Flood-weary residents of the Midwest are bracing for more as rivers continue to rise from weeks of heavy rain and melting snow.
Yeah, it's weird. We survived the 2011 flood. It doesn't get to us. But then now, because it's backed up with the ice, Here we are stuck.
Forecasters are keeping an eye on the Red River in Fargo, North Dakota. It's expected to reach its peak soon, as high as 37 or 38 feet. That's 19 feet above the riverbanks. That would be the 7th highest flood on record for the area. For farmers in the Midwest, the massive amounts of rain and flooding is both a blessing and a curse. It's a welcome change after last year's record drought, but the high waters now are preventing them from heading out to plant their crops. Rain across the South is expected to continue, moving east to start off the week. New details continue to emerge in the case of the Boston bombing suspects. Lawmakers now say the Tsarnaev brothers may not have acted entirely alone. Investigators wrapped up a search for evidence at a landfill this weekend. They're now investigating the possibility Tamerlan and Johar received outside training. And according to the FBI, a Russian wiretap intercepted a phone call between the older brother and his mother in 2011, where they discussed jihad. But that information was just given to U.S. officials last week.
They talked about jihad. Why didn't the Russians let us know that much earlier? They should have, and we are asking why.
I do think there are persons of interest. In Russia is where I think they went from, yes, I'm ready for jihad, here's how you conduct an act of violence with including training.
Zubaydat Tsarnaeva says she is not a terrorist and her sons are innocent. She and her husband have put off their planned trip to the U.S. Meanwhile, Tamerlan's body remains unclaimed in a Boston morgue. His younger brother is in a federal prison medical center in a 100-square-foot cell. One of the architects of the Senate's failed gun control bill is bringing it back. Democrat Joe Manchin says there was confusion over the first bill. He says his new plan is simple and will focus on criminal and mental health background checks.
If you're going to a gun show, you're going to expect to have a background check. If you're buying online, whether it's an out-of-state gun or in-state, a background check. No intervening at all with family transfers or any individual rights whatsoever.
Meanwhile, gun control is low on the public's list of important issues. A Gallup poll shows 43% say the economy and jobs are the top issues facing our country. Near the bottom of the list, gun control comes in with only 4%. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security has been buying up massive amounts of ammunition. Americans are wondering why, and so is Congress. Mark Martin has more.
For months, the internet has been ablaze with rumors about the government buying up ammunition. Federal officials have denied any stockpiling, even as they continue to purchase hundreds of millions of rounds.
And as we have seen, Homeland Security currently has in inventory more than 260 million rounds of ammunition.
Congressman Jason Chaffetz says Republicans are looking for answers because, at the very least, they want to prevent government waste.
It is entirely inexplicable why the Department of Homeland Security needs so much ammunition. Their officers used what seems to be an exorbitant amount of ammunition.
Officials with the Department of Homeland Security say there's nothing unusual going on here.
The second assertion is that we're stockpiling ammunition. Simply not true. DHS's recent purchases of ammunition will not create shortages and restrict the supply of ammunition available to the public.
But Chaffetz says it's shocking that DHS agents would need 3 times more ammunition per year than the average U.S. soldier does.
Homeland Security officers used roughly 1,000 rounds more per person or per officer than the average Army officer.
Congressman Jim Jordan said the questions surrounding that issue highlight another problem, that DHS hasn't been clear and open with the American people.
And then when you do the numbers, 1,300 rounds per DHS employee per year, and you compare it to our soldiers in uniform in the United States Army, 347 rounds per soldier per year, you got a credibility problem.
Meanwhile, the man in charge of buying all the ammunition for DHS says the agency may buy another 750 million rounds in the coming years. The Government Accountability Office is launching a review of the ammo purchases at DHS. Turning overseas now, Egyptian police fought with angry Muslims outside a Coptic church south of Cairo. The stone-throwing mob surrounded the church to protest a romance between a Christian man and a Muslim woman. The woman is said to have converted to Christianity before running away to Turkey with the man. The incident has led to attacks on Christian churches and businesses, forcing some shopkeepers to close their doors. The Mormon Church supports a new proposal by the Boy Scouts to end a ban on gay youth members. The ban on gay adult leaders would stay in place. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints said in a statement on its website, "Scouting exists to serve and benefit youth rather than scout leaders. A single standard of moral purity for youth in the program and a renewed emphasis for scouts to honor their duty to God." The Mormon Church has more scouting troops than any other religious denomination in the country. President Obama became the first sitting president to address Planned Parenthood in person Friday. The president spoke at a fundraiser for the nation's largest abortion provider. He said states across the country want to turn back the clock on abortion to the 1950s. Pro-life advocates say the president is talking out of both sides of his mouth.
One side of him says, I'm for gun rights or to limit gun rights. I want to protect life of human beings. On another side, he says, I'm all for letting these kinds of atrocities go on the abortion level.
In Friday's speech, President Obama said, quote, "You've also got a president who is going to be right there with you, fight every step of the way." NBC pulled an episode of its new serial killer drama Hannibal in response to the violence surrounding the Boston bombings. Last week's broadcast was originally scheduled to air a storyline that featured children being brainwashed and turned into killers. Instead, executive producer Brian Fuller decided to air a different episode. It addressed the human response to suffering. Other networks, including ABC and Fox, also rescheduled their programming in light of the Boston attack. While the networks were trying to be sensitive about the bombing, some say they're missing the point about the effect of TV violence and what it does to viewers in general.
The notion of saying that we're going to take away an episode of a show because it is insensitive at a certain time, then why would they put it on again 2 or 3 weeks down the road? Why is it less insensitive in a couple of weeks than it is now? The answer is it isn't less insensitive. It is every bit as offensive to most Americans.
And you can see the rest of our interview about media violence at cbnnews.com. Coming up, the Newsboys made a hit song and asked this man to write a book with the same title called God's Not Dead. The author, Rice Brooks, delivers this proof after this.
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill and in this hand is a $20 US gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? And this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was.
Help!
And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Yeah! Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes now.
Christians should seek personal revival before praying for the nation. That is the word from the National Day of Prayer Honorary Chairman Greg Laurie. Laurie says the U.S. is going downhill fast and it's headed for either judgment or revival. But he says God's word promises in 2 Chronicles 7:14, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sins and heal their land. Laurie preached the message Sunday at his Harvest Christian Church in Southern California. He will be in Washington for the Day of Prayer on Thursday. In 1966, Time magazine posed the question, is God dead? Since then, skepticism has been on the rise, but so is faith. Not blind faith, but real evidence-based faith. Take a look.
Rice Brooks is known for his work with university students around the world, sharing compelling evidence that God is real. So when the award-winning Christian music group, the Newsboys, asked Rice to write a book based on their hit song, God's Not Dead, that's just what he did. In his book, Rice shares 9 proofs of evidence for God and how Christians can answer the skeptic's question, does God exist?
Rice Brooks is co-founder of the Every Nation family of churches. He's also the author of God's Not Dead, Evidence for God in an Age of Uncertainty. Well, a recent poll found that 1/3 of adults under 30 have no religious affiliation. Why do you think that so many people are forsaking God?
It is a crisis. I think the reason is because if they've been raised in church, I like to tell church folks, you may be raising a skeptic in your house. Mm-hmm. And going to church and just being in the atmosphere doesn't change the heart unless you have the answers that you need. So kids are hearing things at school, on the internet, and if you're not answering those questions that they're really asking, then they're not going to be distracted or fooled by just the show at church, if you will. But I think that once the evidence is given, once people understand the evidence and young people understand it, I think they realize that the evidence for Christianity and for the existence of God is overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So that's what is even a greater tragedy to me, is that we've got the truth, but yet the arguments and the evidence is not being presented.
Now, that said, how do you see that tide turning among our youth?
Well, it's turning when in other words, you have to get out there and circulate these arguments. So when we give the evidence and when we present that and when we train people to do that, like the Bible commands us to always be ready to give a reason for the hope that's within us. So I see that that tide is turning. We're seeing it on college campuses. Whenever the gospel is in circulation, whenever it's put into the marketplace of ideas, the truth of the gospel and the truth of God's existence always rises to the top. And that's why the skepticism doesn't want the competition. Let's just keep them out of the discussion. Hey, you stay over there at the church. But if you train people and give them the evidence for God, and then they can stand up and give that defense, it's amazing the response in people. Just like how I became a Christian. I didn't become because I got lobotomized. I became a Christian because I saw the reality of God versus the option, and I thought this is a better option.
Well, how do you begin to teach people to articulate that? Because many Christians, not just young people, can't articulate exactly what the Bible says and why they believe in God. How do you teach them that? I'm
tempted to do a shameless promotion about my book. That's exactly why I wrote this book, God's Not Dead. But there's a singing group that many members go to our church called the Newsboys, and they wrote a song or produced a song called God's Not Dead. And it was such an anthem. Over 1 million kids there sing in a year. And so they asked me, they said, would you write a book that gives the specifics? Because many Christians know God is real subjectively, but they can't demonstrate it. And so you can talk with, there is scientific evidence for God from the beginning of the universe to the beginning of life. I like to say, if you ever gotten a pocket text, if your phone rings and you look down and it's an absurd set of letters that somebody sat on their phone. What if you got a text 3 billion letters long, ordered and sequenced? That's the information in the human genome. And so that's why the former world's most famous atheist, Anthony Flew, before he died said, I have to acknowledge there's a God because of the complexity of information in DNA. But the ultimate evidence is, not only is there scientific evidence, there's biological evidence, philosophical evidence, but the historical evidence is that God became a man. And really what Jesus did was the ultimate science experiment. He allowed himself to be handled, tested, and his ultimate verification is that 3 days after his death, he was raised from the dead.
What do you think is the best way to challenge the thinking of someone who claims to be an atheist, since you raised that?
Well, when people say they're an atheist, I want to ask them questions. Well, explain, there's no evidence for God. I said, well, what experiment did you hold to show you that? And they said, well, what evidence do you have? And I said, well, look, if I'm looking for Bill Gates, I don't try to break down a Microsoft computer, and if he's not in the computer, say he doesn't exist. So we're looking for the evidence for the intelligence within the product. And see, if you're looking for the evidence of the creator, you're not looking for, if you were years ago looking for Steve Jobs, you wouldn't find him in an iPhone.
Absolutely.
So you're seeing the evidence of intelligence in the design, in the ordered information, and in the amazing mechanism of life and the universe that we have.
Beautiful. Very well said. The book is God's Not Dead. Rice Brooks, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Up next, you've heard the phrase, drop it like a bad habit, but that's easier said than done. We'll show you why some habits stick around and others don't. So stay tuned.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans. with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right. You could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
If you're normal, you've got some bad habits you don't like. In fact, a Duke University study shows nearly half of everything we do each day is not a conscious decision, just something we do by habit. But as our health reporter Lori Johnson shows us, there's a new technique that can help us take control of our behavior.
Most of us know from experience bad habits such as smoking and eating junk food are hard to break. And good habits like that New Year's resolution to exercise every day are hard to keep. But you're more likely to succeed with a new strategy. Scientists recently uncovered an enormous amount about how habits work in our brains.
Everything we know about the science of habits indicates that any habit can be changed.
In his book, The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg points out each habit contains 3 parts. First, a cue, which automatically triggers us to start. Then comes the routine, which is the behavior itself, followed by the reward, which is what we crave and is the key to our brain remembering that routine in the future.
And everyone from Aristotle to Oprah talks about changing habits, and for years they focused on the routine, on the behavior. But what we've learned is that it's really the cues and the rewards that shape how habits function. And that's how you can change habits, by diagnosing and paying attention to these cues and rewards.
Charles used himself as an example. In his job at the New York Times, he wanted to break his bad habit of eating a cookie in the company cafeteria every afternoon. So that's the routine. First, he identified the cue, which is always one of 5 things: time of day, a certain place, presence of other people, a particular emotion, or something you just did.
And so every day when I had a cookie urge, I would write down those 5 things. Where am I sitting? What am I doing? And I realized pretty soon that the cue was a certain time of day. It always hit between 3:15 and 3:45.
Then he experimented to diagnose the reward. Did it satisfy hunger? No, because after eating a filling apple, he still craved a cookie. Was it getting a break from work? No, because after walking outside, he still craved a cookie. How about interacting with other people? Bingo, because when he socialized, even without food, he felt content.
The cookie had essentially become an excuse for talking to other people. So once I recognized that, once I knew that the cue was a certain time of day and the reward was the social experience, I could reshape the behavior, the routine. So now every day I stand up at about 3:30 and I look for someone to go have a conversation with, and I walk over to their desk and then I go back to my desk. And the cookie urge is totally gone. I've changed that habit.
Let's say you want to break your habit of smoking a cigarette every night, and you figured out your cue is finishing dinner, and your reward is feeling relaxed. Now you need to find a better routine that delivers the same reward, such as taking a bath. But what if instead of changing a habit, you'd like to start a brand new one, like daily exercise? In this case, you have to come up with your own cues and rewards, but make sure the reward is something you genuinely enjoy, like listening to your favorite music.
If you go for a run every morning and you tell yourself, I'm going to reward myself by eating kale chips, that is not going to work because nobody actually likes kale chips, right? On the other hand, there was a study that was done in Germany where they told people, go running in the morning, to start an exercise routine. And when you get back to your house, eat a small piece of chocolate. Now, this is counterintuitive, right? Because nobody exercises to eat more chocolate. And yet it worked. Because chocolate is a reward that people actually enjoy.
So by understanding our habits are simply cues followed by a routine, then a reward, we can control our behavior. And as a bonus, the longer we stick with a habit, the easier it becomes. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new Grip Go, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and Grip Go grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of Grip Go. You can get the amazing Grip Go with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete Grip Go systems for just $14.95.
To order Grip Go for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Washington Power players and some top entertainers showed up for the 99th annual White House Correspondents' Dinner Saturday. CBN News was there with a star table of its own. Duck Dynasty stars Willie and Corey Robertson, Super Bowl and Dancing with the Stars champion Donald Driver, and Food Network stars Pat and Gina Neely. Comedian Conan O'Brien served as the night's entertainment, but President Obama was a bit funny too.
Everybody loves Michelle. She's on the cover of Vogue. High poll numbers, but don't worry, I recently got my own magazine cover. I get it. These days I look in the mirror and I have to admit, I'm not the strapping young Muslim socialist that I used to be.
It changes.
Tune in tomorrow for our exclusive sit-down interview with Duck Dynasty's Willie and Corey Robertson. It is the kind of interview you will only see on CBN News. And that is going to do it for us now here on the CBN News Channel. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. And tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Hope you join us again right here next time. Have a great day, everybody.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957. Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.